Morning, everybody. Morgan SLV here. Today's date 4/6/2011. Gold 1457, silver 39.33. Hey, I'm just going to try to make some sense today of a few things that I've kind of been studying. You know, one of the things is when people ask you or bring up the economy, a good way to kind of introduce them to what's going on is this one question. And I've noticed it provokes a lot of thought in most people. If a person is an economist, let's say a professor at a college or whatever, it usually gets them angry. But the question I always raise is, who owns the Federal Reserve? And I wait for them to give me an answer, usually. And so I was talking to a fellow today, and I explained to him that the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express, right? It's not a government institution. It's a separate banking system. And so here's my main question. Because a lot of times they'll say, well, we need to get, a Republican in there or a Democrat in there, or they'll attach a name to whatever they think is wrong with our financial system. And if we can just get them in there, these conservatives in there, everything will work out. Well, my question is, if the people that are printing our money are not American or do not have Americans' interest at heart, then what happens to us? Who represents us in those backroom deals, right? Who represents the American people? That's a large question that must be answered, right? And I think we can tell, at least I can, that we're not being represented, or if we are, we're not being represented very well, right? We're getting beat up. Our dollar's losing value. We're forced to buy precious metals or other commodities or other assets to protect our wealth. Thank God that we have people to study. Da Vinci J15. You got Mike Maloney. You got Peter Schiff. These guys, the reason I mention people, Stella Concepts, people on YouTube, is because I feel like it's really easy to get the real information. I don't want to get into it too much, but if you're watching mainstream media and expecting to get real news, I think you're probably waiting for the Easter Bunny here pretty quick too, right? It's not a good idea. I feel like, get your reading done, or buy some quality books, and start getting some mentors to model after and study up. I got no other thing to say other than that. The U.S. dollar accounts for 2/3 of all the world's exchange reserves. Half of all exports are done in dollars. And if you think about the petrodollar, when anything threatens that, I think that's when we roll out the war machine. Bottom line. Where are all those weapons of mass destruction? We went in there into Saddam Hussein's neighborhood there. The bottom line is, I was checking out something, and it was explained to me kind of like this. For the last 31 years, OPEC's dollars flow to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. It's called the petrol cycle. Look it up. 70% of Saudi Arabia's money is kept in one account, and it's in the U.S. So 70%, at least at the time of this article, their monies were stored here, back with us. So basically, what happens? Let's say you're Japan, and your oil bill is due, and you must pay for that oil in American dollars. Well, you might produce a fleet of Hondas. You send us the fleet of Hondas. We give you American dollars that we just printed up. You take a portion of those American dollars and you buy your oil. It goes to the OPEC, quote unquote, people there, and eventually ends up back here. So in essence, we have just a giant money tree. And I think anything that threatens that will meet our war machine. And that's why, without delving in too deep on the the military deal and whatnot, I'm not at all want to send my son out there dodging bullets, so somebody that I don't even know can buy a brand new a Gulfstream 5 aircraft for their son's 16th birthday. In other words, the oil cartel and the cartel as far as the Federal Reserve, I think it's all crooked as hell. I don't want to get too freaked out about that. I try not to think about that a whole lot. But I just suggest you guys, if you guys haven't studied up on that, if you'll study up, just Google or YouTube petrodollar or petrodollar cycle, and I think you'll learn a little bit. In the 1940s, it was discovered that Saudi Arabia had more oil than us, or at least that's what they thought at the time, and I'm pretty sure they're right. And so when things happen, I think, you follow the money, i.e. you follow the oil. As long as the U.S., as long as oil is purchased with U.S. dollars, then the U.S. has its own money tree, basically. And I just think everything kind of revolves around that, at least at this point. I don't know, maybe in the future it's going to be water as well. But, study up on that. Not a whole lot of information out of me today. Look at silver, though, 39.33. Every time it goes up, I get my calculator out and I fantasize about all the things that I might possibly be able to do. Another thing, I want to do a shout out for Raw Doglet. Is his YouTube channel. Check him out, man. I mean, the guy is, he's pretty direct. And the last scenario that he was talking about on his last video, or maybe the one before this last video, just check it out. Tell me what you guys think about that. I think he's got quite a few points that are right. And it's not a very pretty picture. So I suggest you study up and prepare for the future. Get your foods going, water storage. As you saw, the little motorcycle I was working on gets 120 miles a gallon, the Honda CT 110. Anyway, just be prepared, my friends. Joke of the day, just a short one. You're a coffee addict if the only time you stand still is in an earthquake. Morgan SLV out.